Start recording the meeting. And so welcome everybody. This is the December 13th, 2025 regular meeting of the NCAC. It is 10:03 a.m. and we have a quorum and we're ready to begin. Nancy, would you be able to take the minutes?
I'd be happy to, Alex.
Great. We also need a parliamentarian. And I don't see our usual suspect here.
I should mention that Nancy is also qualified to do that.
Well, Nancy, you might be pulling double duty if you're game.
As long as it's temporary, sure. I think you do a great job,
Temporary
Alex.
parliamentarian for the meeting.
Sounds good.
Great. So I'm just going to put the agenda up there so we can the agenda. All right. Can everyone see the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll start with the conflict of interest questions. So my name is Alex Clark. I am the vice chair and acting as the chair. And I have no conflicts for this meeting.
Chris Sokowski, treasurer, our no conflicts.
Nancy Vandell, bylaws subcommittee chairperson. No conflicts. Guess that might be it for now.
I think that's it. Okay, wonderful. Next on the list is the minutes. So these are in the meeting folder, which is a great tool that behind the scenes, Candace and Nancy and a lot of people have been working on to kind of streamline how we have access to all the important documents. So there are links going forward, there are links in the emails to the meeting folders, which will provide the minutes and the agendas and all the documents that we'll need for the meeting. So these are the meetings for the regular membership meeting from October 11th. And if people would like a moment to look them over, or if you have looked them over and you have any corrections or notes, please let us know.
Alex, I'd like to just say that to add on to what you said about Candace has been doing an incredible job flushing out all of our archives and putting videos up and putting meeting folders into the archives, which is great. Thank you very much, Candace. And we've been organizing some of the Google Drive stuff. But these minutes point to some video sections for lengthy discussions that were really interesting. So I put the link to the video for the meeting in the chat if anyone wanted to go back and look at the presentation that Sarah gave and also the one that you gave, Alex, on the bridge, which is further down.
So we've got the FEMA BIOP and the Butte Creek Bridge project down here. Yeah, and there's the links for the videos.
So the link is actually in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat.
It's not in the archive yet. I didn't want to put the link in the minutes because it's going to change.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. Do we have anyone need more time? Do we have any comments, corrections, questions on the minutes?
I've already provided my feedback to Nancy.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
And I appreciate Chris found a couple of typos that were embarrassing. So thank you, Chris. I changed it.
I move the minutes be accepted as corrected.
I second.
Okay, great. There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposition? Okay, then we are approved on accepting the minutes from the October 11th membership meeting. Thank you, everyone. So we have notices from Tillamook County. There was one that Nancy just forwarded. And this is we have until, I believe people have until January 8th. This is a notice of public hearings, Planning Commission about Sahalee South, a replat and conditional use. So this is in the meeting folder. If anyone would like to take a look, are interested in what's going on in Sahalee South, take a peek at this. And we do have about 3 or 4 weeks. And there is a public hearing on January 8th. So you can attend that or send in some comments.
And Alex, I'm happy to answer any basic questions about this. I mean, essentially, they want to do some lot reconfiguration. It's very simple. It's very similar, excuse me, to the applications you've seen in the last year. But because it is a planned development, it triggers a higher level of review to do that work and necessitates a public hearing before the Planning Commission because they were the decision maker. And that's also why that conditional use is in there, is because it was the conditional use that was part of the review of the plan development, not just the land division ordinance itself.
Great. Okay.
So hopefully that clarifies a couple of things for folks, but the plats and everything, so you can see the changes that they are proposing. Melissa's got those posted on the community development webpage, so you can see everything there and the summary that explains it.
Okay, great.
I have a question. Does it change the size of the buildings that can be built or the density of the occupancy?
It's a great question, Lori. It does not change density, but as you may be, I don't know what everyone's familiarity is with that subdivision, but they had some townhome platted lots. And there's just been some desire of change to reconfigure some of those to single family dwelling over the last couple of years or vice versa. So it's not a density increase, but it is kind of, I would say, a very minor reshuffling of the deck. And it's very limited and specific to a couple of areas.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah.
But I need it.
Okay. Hold on, Marina. We've got Marina here. Unfortunately, she's not a member, but she's
Wyatt Angelo's got his hand up, I think.
Oh, Wyatt.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to take a look at the application, but there's been a back and forth, to give you a little background, between the homeowners and the developer about trying to take what was formerly the duplex lots and turn them, each one of the duplex lots, into a single family lot, which would have required setback issues. And also some common ground versus open space, which would be dedicated to homeowners' use for, in some respects, an emergency preparedness shed for tsunamis. And I've took a look at the plat briefly, and there's a possible issue about that. And I will just disclose to you that I'm on the board of directors of the Homeowners Association, which is owner developer controlled, but I'm also, I guess, ex officio trying to combine the comments of our homeowners into a cogent response to the application, and we haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Is it the developer that's asking for this then, not the homeowners?
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you, Wyatt. All right, next on the agenda, unless there's further questions for Sarah on that, we have the treasurer's report. I know Chris is driving, but if you're able to give us a quick report, Chris.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah, we can.
Okay. So at our last general meeting in October, we had an an ending bank balance of $692. And at that meeting, I had mentioned that we were gonna have two budgeted charges come through in November relating to our Squarespace website licensing. So that those two charges have come through. So those were our only two cash outflows. One was for $276, and then the other one was for $84. We had one cash inflow, which reflected a donation from Michael Beachley of $100, which gets us to an ending balance or current bank balance of $423. But again, that differs from our bank balance by the donation amount, which is currently in our PayPal account, and I'm in the process of transferring those funds over to the bank, and then they will be in sync. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Do you need more money with the next round of bills, or is there anticipation?
No, yeah, as noted in our whenever we discussed our budget, we had enough funds to see us through for the next 12 months. So
Okay.
we're good through June 30th.
Right.
By the way, Rand is here now, Alex, if
Yep.
you wanted him to do the
Yeah, sorry. Carried away with
Com-
Saturday morning plans.
Yeah,
conflicts.
indeed. Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh,
Okay, so next we have, thank you, Chris, for that. I have a short summary of the executive board meeting on November. So we met as an executive board on November 19th, and mainly discussed agendas for this upcoming meeting. There were two items of discussion that were kind of relevant, one to the community and one to the NCAC. One is now a moot point, but there was a good amount of discussion about the Coast Guard helicopter that was slated to leave Newport. And there was a good amount of discussion over what we could do as a group, as the NCAC, to write a letter of support for keeping the helicopter local. Obviously, this is, there's the crab fishing fleet. There's also a lot of dorymen and surfers and, swimmers that really rely on the helicopter. The Fishermen's Wives out of Newport was an organization that was really spearheading the effort, and Nancy Vandell and also Guy kind of got roped into crafting a letter from the NCAC that we were going to present today. But in the meantime, we did get word that the helicopter had been returned permanently to Newport. So thank you for the efforts behind the scenes on however much crafting was done. But and then we also discussed the possibility of using Facebook for the outreach task force to get some more people interested in the NCAC and just let people know what we were doing as an organization. And Sarah and I will talk about that maybe next week in terms of what, any guidelines or red flags for us as a kind of pseudo government entity using Facebook as a communication tool. So more on that to come. And yes, Rand, I see a hand up.
well, the NCA, the community associations has been, wrestling with how to be more in contact with people throughout the year.
Mhm.
And through all our discussions, everything went, how do you manage that with just trying to keep it comments that are relevant and not just taking off in all kinds of directions? And the NCA just said, we're going to put out either a monthly or of a response to a situation, kind of a beach buzz newsletter that we just did for all the emergency contact numbers and things with the flooding, because we just went, there's no way to control a Facebook page, and we didn't want to touch it after we explored it. So that's just to share our experience of looking at it seriously and shaking our heads and going, a newsletter when it's appropriate is a good way to send out an email to
Mhm.
everyone with emergency numbers or an update like the burglary or the drilling of the mailboxes and things like that. All those things we're able to put out in just an email with what we know and to give people a heads up. So that's another way to do it, is just simple old email instead of trying to run a whole website and monitor and control these things.
I'm Wendy Wright, and I didn't put my hand up because I'm on an old iPad and I can't get all this stuff. So please bear with me. I live up on Summit Hill, so I'm up at the top. So, when that tsunami hits, you're all going to come visit me. So I wanted to say that I totally agree with the Facebook not always being, I know the younger generation and a lot of us use it, but I hope that we don't, go to that and rely on it as much as other people do. So that's my little say. Thank you.
Alex, Guy has his hand up and Sarah has a comment in the chat.
Yes. So Sarah, you have your hand up, and also you've mentioned that unfortunately Facebook does not meet public records meeting law. So
Right. We actually have discussed this before. I think it was with the bylaws committee, and I did go back to council just in case. There's no way, because the NCAC serves in a quasi-governmental capacity. It's just not possible to do that. The Housing Commission has a Facebook page. We turn the comments off, and that is controlled by our office. So if there is something with comments off that we could do for the CAC, in fact, for all of the CACs, that is something I could bring back, because I've been chewing on this since the bylaws conversations, but the CAC itself would not be able to have a Facebook.
okay.
Sorry. I do
No,
agree with the newsletter piece though, and I've seen that very effective in other areas.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Guy, you have your hand up.
I just want to go back to the helicopter thing just for a second. The initial reason why we thought we had the helicopter thing in hand was when a judge ruled that the Coast Guard didn't follow the process needed in terms of including getting community input when they made the change. So that became the stay of the issue to stay in terms of they couldn't move it until that happened. Then the Coast Guard promised that they would keep the helicopter there. So yes, I mean the only thing I would be cautious about in using the term permanent, Alex. I think we're operating on a promise from the Coast Guard, and in these times, promises are something to keep an eye on, that they actually happen. So hopefully it's not an issue that comes up again, but I think it's at least the second time in the last 5 years Coast Guard tried to pull out of Newport. So it's something that I think still have to monitor. And it really, as we all know, live in Nesco, come crab season, we see those 10, 15, 20 boats out in front of us. We have to protect Alex when he goes surfing. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that those guys and Coast Guard people are ready. So
Excellent. Your
So-
suggestion that the promise isn't ironclad these days is definitely noted.
So in light of that, would it behoove us to have a motion or have a discussion in case this arises again between meetings, since our next meeting's in 2 months, to take a position on supporting the Fishermen's Wives and supporting keeping the helicopter in Newport, and taking action accordingly? Would that be appropriate in case we need it? So if so, I move.
I would second that.
that the NCAC take a position of supporting keeping the Coast Guard helicopter in Newport and taking action accordingly, giving authorization to the executive board to take appropriate action for advocating for that in terms of letters, etc.
Okay, that
Second.
motion has been seconded by Rand. All in favor of,
Ask for discussion.
oh, yes. If there's any discussion, we're talking about allowing the executive board to work on crafting a letter of support for a future date if needed, where there's potential for the helicopter to be moved out of Newport, and just to have that in our back pocket or have the work already begun, especially if it's between regular meetings.
And not just limited to our Fisherman's Wives, which have done great work on this, but also our two senators have really carried the ball on this as well. So, I mean, there's other, so I think in general, we want to support keeping that, whatever the support, what kind of support it takes, whoever we have to contact. Yes. That's not what I said.
Wyatt, you've got your hand up.
Was that an interpret? That was a translation?
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Alex, I was asking or wanted to ask Sarah if the county had itself taken a position on this and whether they had something in their back pocket in the event that the issue arose again.
Thank you, Wyatt. Yes, the commissioners, our Coast Guard, our ports, everyone is following this matter very closely, just in case there is a change in the future. Absolutely.
So we could discuss any kind of letter or advocacy with you in terms of being consistent with the county, like we usually do, and making sure we're sending to the right people, et cetera.
That would be wonderful. And I would recommend being familiar with the Coast Guard. My family we're all commercial fishermen background between Oregon and Washington coast. So we rely on the Coast Guard heavily for our family protection and needs. I would recommend not only sending it to the Admiral, but also all of the ports of the Coast Guard stations as well, up and down our coast, between Southern Oregon up to Southwest Washington, which is really that District 13 area that helicopter can serve. So yes, I'll keep you posted. And if the commissioners take any other action, I'll also make sure Alex and Randall to let you know right away.
Thank you.
Lori, you've got your hand up. And Guy, you still have your hand up.
Oh,
I'm not
sorry.
I
Lori,
was
go.
just wondering if we already have a draft of a letter ready, if it's effective to proactively send that to the senators, all the organizations you would send it to, or if it's more effective doing it once an official public notice period begins. This is just the question.
We actually stopped doing the draft once it looked like it was resolved. So we can, this will give us a chance to write it if we need to. Good question, Lori.
Great. There is some, Sarah and Gary have pushed in the chat. This is back about Facebook.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, Alex, so we need to take care of that first.
Thank you, Nancy. That's why we need parliamentarian. Okay. So, any further discussion on the letter?
And other advocacy is needed.
One more thing is that you said in your summary, the creation of it, but also delivery should be part of it explicitly.
Thank you.
Okay. So a vote.
Okay, without any further discussion, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor and has been seconded, say aye.
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 Aye. Yeah, go ahead.
You turn off your
And any opposition?
turn off your computer sound.
Yeah, that's kind of the key, right? Is to, if anyone has any opposition, because we can't see people's votes right now.
Mhm.
In terms of voting, which is in the policies and procedures kind of under discussion, but we don't have a poll for this. We could have people actually raise their hands in the chat, or put in the chat. But if we don't have any opposition, I think it's fine to.
All right, we'll give another moment for people if they need to navigate to the chat for opposition. It looks
Okay.
like lack of opposition. The motion passes. So Nancy and perhaps Guy, you might be back on the block for crafting a letter to potentially use in the future.
Thank you.
There is discussion back in the chat. Sarah had brought up, this is back regarding Facebook. If the department managed a Facebook page for all CACs, that's something that might be a vehicle where we could post turning off comments in Facebook and have it be monitored by the department, which would be a way to use Facebook as a vehicle. Gary Billingsley mentioned that some of us Luddites don't have social media accounts and don't want to create one on Facebook just to receive updates. And don't worry, we won't subject you all to creating a Facebook page. This was just another way to get the word out that would also be getting out through our regular NCAC emails and other. So just another vehicle to give the same information, and no new information will be coming over Facebook. All right. So that is the executive board report. On the agenda, we have December elections, but we have the chair position is open. We have had no interest and no communication by anyone who would be interested in the chair. So unless there's any discussion on election for that position, we have no elections to run this meeting.
And the same with secretary, correct, Alex?
And with secretary, that's right. And
so if anyone has any interest, contact Alex or send a note to info@.
Yeah. Okay, so announcements. I don't have any announcements for the NCAC. Did the public meeting or the we did the announcement from Sarah about the public comment for Sahalee. I don't have any other announcements for the NCAC. If anyone else on the board does, let me know, but I don't think there's any other announcements. And so now we are Ran, if you are game to give a community plan update.
Well, actually, Tom wrote a really great summary of where we are in our process. We've been meeting monthly, and we've restructured the community plan. And so Tom has a document. Tom, it seems to make most sense for you to share that and run through it rather than me read it through, since you created the document. And you're on top of that subject and it's in its present form. Is that all right with you? Yes, I can see it is. Oh, but you're on mute, so it's Tom, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, well, mute
There
goes
you
into
go.
a different place when you share your screen. I had to find it. Anyway, yes, we do have a kind of I think a new life to the subcommittee that I think we're really making good progress going forward. So here's an update. So for those of you who don't know what the community plan is basically it describes the values, goals, and recommendations for improvements, as well as policy statements. And I'll get to defining that in a minute. It becomes part of the Tillamook County Comprehensive Plan. Basically, what we're doing is, as was mentioned earlier, we're kind of a quasi-governmental organization. And what we do has an actual impact to the workings of Tillamook County. By the way, Sarah, please let me know if I'm lying, but I think I'm correct. So it's unique in Oregon for communities, unincorporated communities, to have the kind of voice that we do. So we are really, really fortunate in being able to have this voice, and this community plan as part of that voice is the main part of the strategically going forward. Okay. The last iteration of the plan was actually, this is a little bit dated. It's about almost 25 years ago. That vision was taken as the baseline. We reorganized it. Actually, we reorganized it a couple of times and expanded it. We're nearing completion of the initial draft. And the reason I underlined and bolded that initial draft, because this is our idea. And if you remember back to what we did with the bylaws, we had an initial draft, and the final draft didn't look a whole lot like the initial draft. So there is a lot of room for it changing, and being able to reflect what the community actually wants to have happen. We're going to have the interactive sessions, much the way we did with the bylaws. And like I say, it's likely it's going to change, but we think we have a pretty good basis for the current initial draft, because of the work that was done to solicit the value statements at a series of meetings, and had really good participation with members in the golf club house. Okay. Basically, we're going to go through a series of feedback sessions when we do that. That I just mentioned, we had those feedback sessions. We took those 2001 values and we took those as a framework and expanded them. We didn't reject anything. We added a few things, and several points were definitely amplified and new values added. In fact, we're still going through the process of amplifying what's there, even in a current draft. As was agreed to by the participants of the feedback sessions, these were the 5 categories. Actually, it was 4, but for purposes of being editing, I'm the editor, so I get to decide these things. Safety and resilience got split out, although Guy and I kind of don't agree on that a little bit, but I'll convince you. Anyway, the values identified with community character, family focused and education minded, environmental stewardship, safety of persons and property, resilience. And although we have these 5 areas, it is very obvious to us and anybody who reads the document that these are all interrelated. I mean, you really can't separate them out, but it at least allows us to do some organization, some logical flow to the document, so that it's not completely incomprehensible. And they were used as a guideline. By the way, let me know if anybody wants to ask any questions. I don't see any people. I couldn't see any hands raised. Okay. For each one of those values, we state what the current state is. In other words, these are the values we have. And then we go into what are the goals that we want to amplify. What do we want to do in order to make that either the same or better? And then that flows into recommendations for the future. Each one of the goals, which is the second thing, includes some introductory tests, why it's important, and suggested methods for going forward. So it's a very much of a proactive document. It talks about what we have and describes how we'd like to go forward. And once again, we're taking this from the base that we got from the membership, but we may have missed something, or people might not have attended those and actually have some great ideas. So we're definitely open to more. And the policy statements are interleaved with both value and goal statements. Now, what policy statements? Well, this is actually where we have contact with the Tillamook County government. They are formal positions for the Nesquin community that are folded into the Tillamook County Comprehensive Plan. They must be approved by the county and will be used when the county considers things about review of land use applications where applicable, amendments to the Tillamook County Comprehensive Plan or Tillamook County Land Use Ordinance. I'm glad I didn't stumble over that. I did before. Each policy, there's a title, a description of the policy, an indication of the methods of implementation. Now that's calls out what agencies will be involved in any decisions that involve that policy. And these policies must be consistent with the values and goals. We can't have any contradictory. So although we're developing this from the viewpoint of the values and goals, we must be consistent with the policies must be consistent. And Sarah is a great help here. Well, she's critical to this, obviously. And that's basically where we're going. So I'm sure there are lots of questions. Maybe not.
Thank you, Tom. This is that's a good amount of work, and I know you've been doing a lot of organization, keeping everything. I mean, at least half of the work is keeping everything organized.
And
Can I just add a couple of things? I don't disagree with Tom on the safety and resilience separation. I said that when we were going over these, there's a lot of overlap, and as Tom said, there's a lot of overlap with all the values that we have. So it's hard to have distinct categories there. There are some safety things that we bring up that are distinct from resilience. The other thing is that the policy statements, when you look at the document, we did not organize the document according to the policies. We organized the document by the vision, the values, the goals, the recommendations for Nesquin. That's how we organized it. The policies have been, as Tom said, none of what we've done can be outside of those policies. So we had to plug in the policies where we thought best. And there's clearly some things when we say that there's a lot of overlap. Well, clearly with the policies, because you'll see that the policy statements don't really match up with our values and vision and goals and things, because we didn't design the document, we didn't organize the document based on those. We had to plug them in. So you'll see some disjointedness there, and I'm sure the committee will continue to work on how they could best fit, and there might be some language changes in the policies we'd have to approve with Sarah. But just so you know that when you look at the document.
so the latest version of it, I haven't looked at the website in the last week to see about access if people want to read the document. Is it still, I mean, I got a thing and it had version 33 and I could get it and there's a link, but is it it's on the website under community plan, the current version, Tom?
We should have there should be a link to it in our meeting notes, and I'll see about getting it. Maybe we can ask to have that copied over. I'll send out an email
So I know it is at least in the minutes of the meeting that we just published. I think Candace is getting that on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make sure that it gets on the website where the previous version was at. I'll just.
Yeah, I neglected to notify you that I had a new version. Sorry, Candace.
Oh, no problem.
Well, it's a day-to-day, week-to-week thing, so it's hard to keep up with. Anyway, people can get access to it, and that's if they're interested in seeing what Tom is describing. And he has a whole editing process. If anyone has any comments that are particular to the document rather than just a general comment, there's no process for editing so that Tom doesn't get crazy stuff from left, right, and upside down. So if you do want to have comments at this point in time, please follow his editing directions. They just specify the line, the page and the line, and which version you're working from. So that's helpful if you want to read it and have any engagement at this point. Most of the public stuff will be happening later. Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
I do see it in the community plan meeting, SOAR 8th meeting archive that Candace put up there.
Great.
It's version 32, though. I don't know where you are now, Tom.
33.
Okay.
It's
but
close
yeah,
enough, probably.
So also another comment about it's not yet in readable or I don't want to say, I mean, it's not ready to be wordsmithed. It's ready to make sure we got all of the ideas, the areas that we wanted to cover, the recommendations, those kinds of things. And that's where comments should come back to. Don't say, well, you should have used while instead of well or something. You know, I mean, those things we haven't gone to yet. We're not there yet. We're just trying to capture all the kind of factual things, the required things, the ideas, the recommendations. Those are the things we want comments on. We'll wordsmith it at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, that especially applies to the executive overview and the introduction. They're going to be completely rewritten.
Right. The last things to do when you've finished all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You're in the nuts and bolts and the structure of it, and
yes,
right.
You get to the facade and the design later.
Yeah. Well, the design is there.
Well,
I mean, we hope that if there's comments about the way it's laid out or designed, yes, we want those now. We just don't want it wordsmith, you know, this sentence should have whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not there. That's not what we're focused on yet. I mean, we're just trying to make sure we got everything on the paper that we need.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for all the hard work behind the scenes, both in the the content and the layout. Nancy, are you able to provide a bylaws update?
Yes, it's going to be short and sweet. We are working on, 2 years ago, we rewrote the bylaws through quite a series of meetings and presentations and work by the community and adopted those at the end of the fiscal year. And last year we created new policies, procedures, and references, which were passed, I think last May. And this year we're we're doing some cleanup. We're having a less intense time of it, where we have a number of things we just didn't have time to get to the previous 2 years. And so we're working on those. And you can see in our bylaws files what we are working on. We're hoping to have a couple of feedback sessions, probably one feedback session, but holding them twice, one on a Saturday and one on a evening, to get member feedback. But we don't see anything controversial, and we're hoping to just have a presentation and motion to adopt. At the moment, we have one small bylaws change and then some additions to the policies, procedures, and references. A lot of it's around job descriptions. We've got some stuff on how we do voting, that kind of thing, but have all that done at our February membership meeting. And depending on what feedback we get, Members are welcome to attend our meetings. We've just have had one in November, and our next one is next Friday, the 19th at 8:30 until about 11. And then we'll resume in January our twice a month, first and third Friday mornings of the month meetings. So that's kind of it. We're kind of enjoying sitting back. We're not totally sitting back, but we're compared to the previous 2 years, we're doing some cleanup. So that's about it. If Tom is our illustrious editor, as well as on the community plan subcommittee, and Wyatt is a great member of our committee. So along with Michael Beachley and Susan Schoenberg. So if either of you wanted to weigh in, please feel free. Okay. Wyatt's laughing.
No.
So that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, the bylaws, and Gary, before he left as secretary, posted the bylaws and the policies, procedures, and references on the main page of the website. If you'd ever, looking for something interesting to do, it's there for your reading pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. So we're trying to incorporate some community interest presentations into the NCAC meetings to help the community, but also as we're working through the bylaws and the community plan, have something going forward as that work progresses and takes up a little less time. Not that it's taking up a little less time yet, but we're working on bringing something else aside from bylaws and community plan updates to the general membership meeting or the regular membership meetings. In this month, we have two presentations. They're connected. Tillamook County last month gave a winter preparedness presentation and meeting in Tillamook. I know you just banged your head. I'm sorry. And Barb and Tom attended that. And so I believe Tom is going to talk and summarize some of the relevant information from the winter preparedness meeting that the county gave us with, I think it was with the National Weather, was it with the National Weather Service or
Well, National Weather Service participated in. There was
Yeah.
also a lot of county activity.
Great. And then Barb is going to be talking about Be 2 Weeks Ready, which is another great program for especially for us for disaster preparedness and what you can do as a individual and neighborhood and community to be ready for any untoward natural disasters. So Tom, you might be up first if you are able to share your screen because you did it so successfully last time.
And again, and this time I'm not muted.
And there we go. All right. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. As I said, there was a lot of county activity in the meeting, but most of it was not directly relevant to what we're doing. I should say that the county does a pretty thorough job of reviewing things, getting ready, just in case we have bad weather, which we've had. So it doesn't accidentally happen that response happens quickly. But the thing that's is probably the most germane for what we are doing is the National Weather Service update. And then I also have tagged on the end of this some weather-related resources. So the idea is, actually get a right screen here. The National Weather Service had this prediction. This was actually late September, I think it was, that we're going to have more rain than usual. It's December through February. And I think we can say they probably were right. The seasonal temperature is going to be right around normal. That's the way to read these. This is above normal. This is about normal. So that says we in the early part of the winter, we need to be aware that there's going to be lots more rain, or at least some more rain than we're used to. Then later on, we're actually going to have about the normal amount of precipitation, but it's going to be a bit colder than we are normally used to. Now, these are predictions in general, and any individual storm, they emphasized, could change things dramatically, like an atmospheric river coming through. Could change in the wintertime, could change this dramatically. But this is the tendency of what they're predicting. But we have a La Nina advisory for this winter, and it's a mild La Nina. And they showed a bunch of statistics, which I won't go through because I'm not sure I'm competent to go through them. But basically, in a moderate La Nina is the time we have most often have significant amounts of snow. In other words, it's cool enough such that there's snow, but it's not so cold that it freezes out the snow. However that works. I'm not a meteorologist. But basically, we can consider that precipitation is going to be slightly favored for above increase in the winter. And after the mid part of the winter, basically just average. Going to be cooler than average in the late winter, and no clear signs for above normal. As an editor, those two last bullets should have been in a different order. Should have the same order, both of them. Sorry about that. Anyway, but the thing which was to me most interesting was that they are predicting above normal coast range snowpack this winter. Or that might, it is possible that might extend to Cascade Head and therefore to us. So that's one of the things we need to make sure that we're aware of, that we might essentially be cut off. So, and then at the end, I've extracted a few of the pointers that they provided, the National Weather Service provided. But to go back to this is, so we might have some problems this winter, which is my way of introducing Barb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey there, sorry about that. Okay, Tom, thank you.
Sorry, I that was an abrupt transition. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
That's all right. Well, thank you for that. And this is all in the meeting folder. So people, if you want to go look back on that or share that with somebody else, you can just click through the meeting folder that's in the email and have access to that. Okay. So Barb, we're now doing Be 2 Weeks Ready, which you've been spearheading down here in our community. So we would love to hear about that.
Thank you, Alex, for inviting me to provide some information about this remarkable program that the Office of Emergency Management for the state of Oregon has planned. I am not a professional program coordinator, but I've been interested. I have a longstanding interest in emergency preparation. And that's because Bill and I lived in New Orleans for over 20 years. And we always had to worry about hurricanes because most of New Orleans is below sea level. This picture was published in the New York Times this past August, which was commemorating the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And Bill and I saw this in the Times, and we went, boy, that sure looks like a house that was in our neighborhood, and it very well could be. After living in New Orleans for more than 20 years, we thought we were prepared to weather any storm. And we had a safe evacuation site to go to, and we did go quite frequently. But Katrina was more than offering more surprises than we were ready for. So needless to say, when we returned to Oregon in 2008, I was delighted to learn that Dogami and OEM, the Oregon Emergency Management, were encouraging communities to think about emergency preparedness. So in 2014, there was a group in Pacific City that organized Map Your Neighborhood. This was patterned after a program that was initially designed by people in the Seattle area. There were some, we ran that for about 3 years, and there were a lot of people that didn't want to provide information that was requested in Map Your Neighborhood. And so it was tweaked a little bit to become Plan Your Neighborhood. And I have to say that the folks in the emergency preparedness team in Manzanita successfully adopted both programs, and they were very generous in sharing their experience in providing training for those of us who live in South County. You may know that we now have a South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps. CERT is a part of that. That's the Citizens Emergency Response Team, and I participated in that for a few years. Finally, after we got through COVID, finally OEM launched the Be 2 Weeks Ready program in 2024. And the training began with the goal of eventually providing this training to every community in the state of Oregon. So the program coordinators, for which I am one, and Colleen Williams is another one. As far as I know, we're the only two program coordinators trained in South Tillamook County. Kyla Thompson is the guru of the program, and she holds meetings once a month for the program coordinators to get together. As of our last meeting in November of 2025, she had trained 336 program coordinators throughout the entire state. The Be 2 Weeks Ready program is community-centered and activity-based, and I'll go into that a little bit more detail. There are 8 areas of preparedness skills that the program is going to be training people on. So in this slide shows the OEM's Community Preparedness Coordinator. I already mentioned her name, Kyla Thompson. She supports the program coordinators. As a program coordinator, I offer outreach to our community, hopefully keeping it just in Neskowin and not having to do the entire South Tillamook County, but we'll see how that goes. And identifying community hosts to provide the training. That's one of the reasons I wanted to speak today, because we are desperately in need of some community hosts that can facilitate meetings in their neighborhood. And I have a few people lined up to do that, but I'd like to get probably about 10 in order to start their training. And finally, you all that are going to participate in these meetings are known as the communities in the lingo of the Be 2 Weeks Ready program. So why do we need a Be 2 Weeks Ready program? Well, Althea Rizzo, who is involved in many of the previous efforts to train people in the state, was responsible for designing this program, and she knows that preparing for a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake and tsunami will prepare you for almost anything. And so here at the coast, the need to be self-sufficient could be at least 2 weeks if we have a freezing rainstorm or landslides, as we had this past episode. But for the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake and tsunami, it's going to be longer for us. We need to recognize that. Help is not going to be readily available because for a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, the damage will be from the coast all the way to the foothills of the Cascades. And so we're really going to have to be self-sufficient for quite some time. And having a go bag is a wonderful thing, but it's not going to be enough. So this toolkit that Althea was responsible for preparing is almost 90 pages. It describes 8 topics, and I'm going to go through those in a minute. It's also going to identify some activities that the trainees can go through. You don't have to go through all of them. There will be no checklist to make sure that you've done everything that's listed there, but it gives some guidance because there are going to be some groups that are more aware of have already gone through some training with emergency preparedness to some people who haven't even thought about it. So all of the references to websites and so forth and email addresses I put in at the beginning of the chat. And so you can come back and take a look at that if you want to look at it for future reference. So let me go back. Let's see. The printed copies, of which I have a giant box sitting in my office, can be distributed for in-person or virtual meetings. But there's another way to, let me say that the toolkit has been published already in several languages, and there's also an effort to have American Sign Language kits available for those that need them. In the future, the kit will be available in Korean. They're working on that right now. And also providing some resources for people that are visually impaired. So they really try to make it inclusive in the community. So the toolkit, as I mentioned, if you look to the left on individuals, you can download it and you can work on it by yourself or with your family, or if you want to do that. The community structure will allow people to have facilitated meetings by the community hosts and get a printed copy of the toolkit. And the toolkit index is shown here directly from the book. There are eight issues that will be covered, and I'll talk about those individually, I guess, right now. Let's see. Let me say that I favor the community meetings. I think if people are attending and they hear that some ideas from their neighbors about how they have prepared, it's going to strengthen the overall experience. By getting to know how your neighbors will be ready and able to respond to an emergency will greatly help the whole neighborhood swing into action should the need arise. Okay, so the first unit is called Preparing to Prepare. As I mentioned, there are some activities that are included with the toolkit. The group can decide which activities are important for their readiness. I think tracking your food and water for 2 weeks will be interesting. Unit 2 is your emergency plan, and it will prepare your household for what you need in an emergency, how to create an emergency communication plan, how to sign up for alerts if you don't have them already, and opportunities to practice your plan. Unit 3 is about devising a food plan. Everybody thinks about how much food you might need, but how to safely store your food, how you plan to prepare meals if the power is out, are equally important considerations. Unit 4 is about devising a water plan for your household. How much? Where will you store it? How can you ensure it's safe to drink? After this meeting, take a look around your house. Where is the shutoff valve for the water supply to your water heater? When you find it, make sure everyone in your household knows where this valve is located, because if we do have an earthquake and tsunami, that will be a guarantee that you'll have at least 40 or 50 gallons of water that's clean and safe to get you started. Unit 5 is about sanitation and hygiene. If you saw me at the Nesquin Farmers Market on July 5th this past year, I had an example of the 2-bucket toilet. Everyone should have at least one of these sets of toilets ready for use. Unit 6 is about your plan for shelter. What hazards exist in your home currently? Do you have a propane tank? Do you know how to turn it off? What about installing a seismic shutoff valve? And there's also some suggestions on what you should put in your go bag in Unit 6. Unit 7 focuses on first aid. Knowing basic first aid skills will be essential for your resilience in the event of an emergency, and especially giving using those skills to help your neighbors. And emergency management. Unit 8 will introduce you to community leaders in emergency management to find additional ways to help your neighborhood prepare. So how to get involved? Anyone in an outreach or networking or training position can be a program coordinator. I taught at the university level for several years, and so that's considered training people. So that qualified me to be a program coordinator. I think anybody with a genuine interest and has been working in emergency preparedness for several years could be a program coordinator. And those of you that live in, let me jump ahead. I think we could use 1 or 2 more program coordinators here in the Neskowin area. We have to drive to Salem in order to get our supplies, and it would be handy to have more than just 2 of us able to do that. So who can be a community host? Those should be people who are passionate about preparedness and are comfortable sharing the information with others. And I intend to be the community host for the South Beach area. So listen up, neighbors. And the community, as I mentioned before, are the people that are going to be attending these training courses. So for the program coordinator position, there are classes or training courses offered by Zoom at OEM every month. And the way to find out more about that is to email them and tell them that you're interested in taking the program coordinator training course. It lasts about 5 hours, which is about 3 hours longer than when Colleen and I attended. So I'm wondering if we shouldn't go back and find out what those additional 3 hours are. I would love to have more community hosts. I've lived in Neskowin for 17 years now, but I don't know the issues in every neighborhood. There's considerable flexibility in how to communicate the goals of the B2 Week Ready program to your neighbors. It could include everything between hosting a neighborhood coffee or getting together virtually in Zoom sessions or other ways that you can think about getting your neighbors interested and trained in some of these issues. Neskowin is a village with lots of neighborhoods. I've added a few here. There might be other places that or other neighborhoods that consider themselves independent neighborhoods that could have a community a community host to organize the neighborhood. Please send me your contact information if you want to tell me about a neighborhood that's not listed here. If you want to tell me that you'd like to hear more about becoming a community host. Everything between, well, it's up to us to get prepared and to make sure that everyone is up to a level of preparedness that will ensure good things will happen in the event of a catastrophe. So thank you for listening. Email me if you want to hear more about being a community host or a program coordinator, or if you have questions that have come up during this presentation that we don't have time to attend to at this point. Here again are the information in order to get to community preparedness at the Oregon Emergency Management Program. And if you want to download the toolkit, go to the Oregon.gov OEM 2 weeks ready website and get your printer ready to print out at least 88 pages. Okay, thank you.
Barbara, thank you so much. That was that's great. And Tom, thank you as well. I know there's yes, claps all around, even for those of us that are muted. There's so much talk about certainly the Cascadia subduction zone and what's going to happen. We're so isolated on the coast, even more so than what's going to be an isolating situation wherever you are if an earthquake hits. And I think a lot of people talk about it or have heard about it, but there's really not a lot of good information out there on what you can reasonably do when you're out here to be prepared. We've got a go bag, but I don't think we would be 2 weeks ready at this point, and I consider myself somewhat prepared. So this is great. I think a lot of us are probably in the same boat.
Well, that's the way we felt in New Orleans. We thought, oh, we've got this. We've got a safe place to go, and we know what files we need to take, and so forth and so on. And whoops, we were not prepared for the Corps of Engineers not to stabilize the levees that surround the city. And so we had 8 feet of water in our house.
Wow.
There's general denial that is pervasive, I think.
Absolutely.
And that's not going to help.
Exactly.
I think
exactly. I know what I'm up against, Rand.
Barb, I think, and I know you attended the webinar that I did last week on what our landscape is going to look like after the Cascadia fault. If you have a go bag, you'll be able to go maybe up to Cascade Head or maybe north to almost maybe the Nestucca. But essentially, I think so many people just have in mind it's going to be the tsunami. And that's what we have to worry about. Once the tsunami's gone, once the water washes away, it's kind of over. It's not over.
It's not over.
It's our, we're being pushed up, and that's why the area here in this part of the coast is being pushed by the plates that are coming underneath the sand, if you could, whatever. I'm sorry with names, but anyways, we're being pushed up. That's why sea level rise has not really affected our area as much. But after the quake, we're going to drop 3 to 4 feet on this part of the coast. So think about what that means for like the Salmon River estuary or the Nestucca estuary or whatever. And they've done extensive studies looking at back a couple of thousand years about what's happened in the past. So we're not going to be able to go anywhere probably after the quake. We're going to have a very different landscape. Think about where the ocean is going to be if we drop 3 to 4 feet.
Or 7 feet.
Or 7 feet in some parts. Some predictions are, and in some parts, a lot of it just depends where you are on the coast. I think the minimum is 3 up to 7 or 8 feet. So I think as we prepare for what an after the quake could be, we have to really convince folks that things are going to be very different here. The flooding is going to be very different, and it's once the wave subsides, we're going to be subsided significantly. So, and I know Barb, you were probably thinking about that in terms of instructing people how to be prepared. We're not going anywhere. And I know one thing, just on a side note about water, and I know Barb, you've been working with the water district to provide access to water at the reservoirs. I don't think we have all the reservoirs ready.
That's correct.
and to have spigots or whatever that you could access potable water. Um, I think we're still working on, the water district is working on, you know, fortifying the reservoirs themselves to be more earthquake proof. Nothing is totally earthquake proof, but to make it better. And one of the things as the water district looks north in terms of discussing with Wainema and Horizon View about their small water districts, and how we can maybe potentially serve them. One of the things that we were talking about is those two small private water districts get their water from wells. And so we have talked about the advantage that could come to Neskowin if we had access to those wells. If we had any kind of a landslide, which will happen probably in an earthquake and shuts off Hawk Creek, we're going to have to get our water from somewhere else. And just in general. And so those wells may be something that we want to look at in future planning. But anyways, just some things to think about.
Wendy, right again with no hands up. Um, being a I don't live in Neskowin, but being a resident owning a home, private home up on the hill, and having, you know, the evacuation route close to my home. Last time there was a tsunami warning and they kept telling me, you know, I get all that information. It was 6:30 at night and they said maybe by 9:30, and I headed down. I always say down. I headed over because I wanted to be there to help. And I think that people, you know, you people that live there full time understand all this. But we that are there like every other weekend or there for months, but not full time, I do see it as a very important part, adding to the preparedness. Thank you.
Wherever you live in the state of Oregon, where you consider that your primary residence, the Office of Emergency Management is trying to train people in those areas as well. And they've had a lot of the people that attend the meetings are in the Portland and Salem area, and further south, Eugene, and down into Grants Pass and those places. So if you go to the website that I've listed in the chat, the OEM.gov website, you can actually go in and put an address in and see if there's somebody in your neighborhood, in Salem, in Portland, wherever, that is doing the training. And you can do the training with them because that's where you live primarily. But then you can start thinking about how to apply it to your situation with your second home at the coast. So that would be my advice to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This was so valuable from both presentations and all the work you're doing. Thank you. I noticed Colleen Williams is here. I don't know, Colleen, if you'd like to turn on your camera and introduce yourself, or if you have anything to add, but you're the other coordinator, correct?
Yes, I am. And I have the area of the crest and what a lot of people call Beach Crest. There are two separate subdivisions up here on top of the hill above the golf course, but our neighborhood is actually Pacific Sand Heights and the Crest. And what I'd like to offer is the fact that I am also responsible for the South Tillamook County area of the storage sheds that have been coming into play in our different areas with the ready foods that will be supplies for those that can make it up the hill to get help and not necessarily be able to carry their to-go bags, or like you said, have one at home, but you're not going to really go anywhere. Well, you go up that path that's marked all over the village to get to the storage safe area. And again, the supplies, I've done 6 sheds so far, and there are going to be more next year with the new budget. And if nobody knows about those sheds, I'm very welcoming everyone to come and do a visit it's open to show you really what's in there and what we're trying to do outside of the to-go bag. So
And
if
the
not,
residents that live adjacent to the storage sheds are becoming familiar as well, which is important. We probably will, the folks that live close to the storage shed in South Beach probably are going to be well situated with food. And so it's really being able to transmit that information to the folks that come up the hill to our shed and our emergency preparedness access point, and will benefit from having a supply of food and water and other resources in the shed.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on either of these, on both of these? There's a lot of information. Hopefully there's enough information where it causes people to say, hey, I might not know everything about what I need to do, and start showing up or getting in touch with Barb. And Barb, you mentioned to me that it'll probably be in the new year when you start trying to have some in-person
Yeah, a
meetings.
lot of it will depend on what the interest is. For the community hosts, I'm planning to organize one for South Beach that will be just the neighbors that live close to me that I've already gone through the Plan Your Neighborhood program with and so forth. We have a lot of new people, new homes up here, and so we really need to update on what's going on. I need a place to, I need to find out how many people are going to be interested in, and a place to hold that meeting. And the same thing is true for program coordinators. If I get two, I can have them, if two people volunteer to become a program coordinator, I can have them at my house if they're not afraid of barky little dogs. But if we get more than that, then we'll have to look for another place. And I have some ideas, and I've explored a couple of them and haven't turned out yet. But I'm shooting for resolution of that, finding out from this meeting how many people are involved or would like to be involved. And please share this information with those of you that have neighbors that you think might be interested as well. And once we have an idea of the numbers, then we can set some firm dates to get started. And I want to reassure people that the format of the meeting is really up to the participants in the meeting. I can have 8 meetings with each unit. Or we can do 4 meetings with 2 units at each time. A lot of it is going to depend on what they know already and how deep they want to go into the subject. But just making sure that you start thinking about what would happen instead of a Pineapple Express coming this way, that we have an earthquake and a tsunami.
Great, thank you. I'm definitely interested in seeing the sheds because I know about the location of some of them, but I've never been in one of them, and it'd be quite good to know, aside from what you can gather in your home, what other resources are available to rely on.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for attending the meeting in November up in Tillamook as well, Barb and Tom.
The emergency preparedness manager is Randy Thorpe, who has an office in Tillamook. And he invited somebody from the, let's see, what was it called? Oregon Office of Resiliency Management. I don't even know what compartment that fits into, but he has, this fellow is Randy Gilbert, I believe his name is, said that he could offer portable warming shelters, portable warming centers, food and water, assessments for individuals and families in need of help, heating and generator support, and hygiene support. Now, what he's talking about is our emergency preparedness coordinator in in Tillamook would need to go to that statewide office and request those resources. And if he has resources for the entire coast, I would be surprised.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for the work on that and for walking us through it. We have another item, which is just public comment. And we're, for the most part, members of the public. So if anyone, either about things we've covered today in the meeting or in general, public comment for the NCAC, now is the time to raise your hand.
I have a question.
Hey, Alex, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm just curious if anyone on the call here got a Nixle alert about the landslide on Highway 101 at Cascade Head.
No.
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 Terrific. Well, Barb, when you next meet with Randy, don't be afraid to bring that up. I sent him an email expressing my chagrin that we heard about the 101 closure at Fred Meyer and Tillamook 400 times
Right.
and heard nada when our road went out.
Yeah.
So anyway, a little attention to South County wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't know where South County ends and Lincoln County begins.
Wendy
problem.
Wright, Wendy Wright chimed in and said she got an email.
Oh, from Nixle or?
From
I'm not sure. It was just in the chat that from Nixle. Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad somebody did. Yeah. I wonder why the rest of us didn't.
Well, Wendy, you're in charge of telling everyone else then.
Well, I got a Nixle report of a Lincoln County landslide, but I never saw anything from Cascade Head. So I'm on their list, at least for Lincoln County.
Oh, that's good too, Tom. I did not put that question to them, but I thought I was on their list and did not, didn't get anything from them. So good to know there's something coming out to at least a few folks.
Mhm. Perhaps we have to put ourselves on the list for Lincoln County too, since there might be some confusion.
Yeah.
Maybe Cascade
They
Head.
are separate.
Yeah. Maybe Cascade Head, they believe it's all in Lincoln County.
Not much of it.
I know.
So Alex, is that an issue that maybe you could contact Roger and just ask about this on our behalf?
Yeah. Roger
That's
or
official.
Randy?
Randy.
Randy.
Yeah. I can certainly get in touch with Randy and ask him for some clarification and what people that are right on county lines should expect. Because obviously Cascade Head closing affects us a lot more than not being able to drive by Fred Meyer and Tillamook.
When the Forest Service was asking for comments about reopening the road at the top of Cascade Head out to Harts Cove and things, I asked the county commissioners if they were going to respond, and they did not at that point have a plan, and did not in their minds. Well, anyway, the person I was corresponding with said it wasn't on their kind of attention that was something that they needed to consider. So clearly the county doesn't think they have very much responsibility for their part of Tillamook County at the top of Cascade Head.
So just to be clear, the county line starts at the mouth of the Salmon River and goes due east. So the majority of Cascade Head is Tillamook County, including on the south side.
That's right.
So too bad that Sarah's already gone off the meeting, but that might be something we just need to keep reminding ourselves that we need to remind the county to pay attention to.
I have a talk with Sarah, I believe next week, and I will definitely bring that up.
Okay.
Another thing that comes to mind at the end of this meeting is that in the community plan, the resilience and that safety area could use more information and more, I don't know if it's somewhere between incentives and implementation information for those areas of the community plan. And I don't think we've drilled down that much in that area for specifics. So that's an area that's ripe for more content. And we'll maybe dig a little deeper there with this, more of this emergency information to provide that in the community plan, both aspirationally, which is a word that is not welcomed in the plan, and just general recommendations. I think it'd be very helpful to have emergency issues be more present in those areas.
Definitely a deficit. Yeah, we need to expand that. Guy's done a great job of outlining some areas, but we need details and we need maybe more topics.
I will tell you that there are still people in Neskowin who think they're going to get in their car and drive out of harm's way.
Oh,
Yeah,
Danger zone.
it's all harm's way.
Yeah, it's all harm's way. Hey.
Well, on that uplifting note, if there's no more community questions or input, we are at 11:34, and I want to thank everyone for coming, particularly Barb and Tom for the presentations, and Nancy and Rand for the updates on the subcommittees.
And Tom.
And Tom, of course, on all the subcommittees. Blanket thank you to Tom for being involved.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And great job, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thank you very much. It was much easier now that everything's organized to step into those shoes.
Thank you.
Well, everyone have a wonderful Saturday. We ended before noon.
Hey.
It's sunny, at least in this corner, so we can enjoy the beach while we've got it.
What's left of it, right?
Yeah.
all right.
All right. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.